Hello, mates. Welcome to Budget Gaming. I'm your host, Finley. Can you believe it? Hollow Knight Silksong finally came out after being announced over 6 years ago. To celebrate, I want to go over 10 tips and tricks to help you in your journey throughout the kingdom of Farloom. If you like the sound of that, hit that like and subscribe button. It's a huge help for small channels like mine. The first tip is to learn the enemy's attack patterns as soon as possible. There are over 200 enemies in this game, and no two enemies have the same attack pattern. While it's obvious that you'd want to learn these at some point in order to progress through the game, you'll mainly want to learn these as soon as possible because of the arena-style rooms. In these rooms, you're locked in with the enemies and cannot leave the room until all are defeated. You can never really tell what is going to be an arena-style room until you're locked in and it's too late. This is the last place you want to learn enemy attack patterns, so best to learn them as you come across new enemy types. Sadly, I made this mistake in the third section of the game. It wasn't fun. Another good reason to learn enemy attack patterns is to take them out quicker. The quicker you take them out, the quicker you build up Silk. Silk is used to either heal yourself or to use your special attacks, such as Silk Spear. Considering how easy it is to die in this game, you'll be attacking enemies a lot just to build up your Silk, so you'll have enough to either heal yourself or use stronger attacks in boss fights. Next tip is to farm as many Rosary beads, the game's currency, as possible. The best way to do this is by finding areas with lots of easy enemies to defeat and are in close proximity to a bench. Early in the game, the best spot to do this is in Moss Home, in the upper left section of the map. This is a great area because the enemies are fairly easy to beat, along with the fact there is a bench nearby. Resting at a bench respawns enemies, so you can go back and farm the beads. What is probably the most important tip of all: buy all maps, map accessories and items as soon as you possibly can. And I'd even argue that it's worth your time to farm enough Rosary beads to buy every map item you can. Having a map makes it so much easier, but you need more than just a map. You need a compass which will show your location on the map, and you'll need markers to mark important parts on the map. This is particularly useful once you start getting side quests from multiple characters, since it's hard to keep track of all of them. Next tip is, if you already bought every map-related item, buy anything and everything you possibly can before a boss battle. This isn't an easy game, so you will be dying. You'll be dying a lot, actually. And when you do die, your body becomes a cocoon, which stores all of your Rosary beads and Silk. You get everything back if you make it back to your cocoon and break it open. However, if you die before you make it back to your cocoon, you lose everything you had stored in that cocoon. Sadly, this happens more than you'd think, so it's best to buy everything as soon as possible, just in case you do die and lose all of your Rosary beads. This way, it's not as severe if you lose all of your beads because you'll have less to lose. And don't worry about spending too many beads and not having enough, because there are plenty of places to farm, and nearly every enemy drops beads, so you'll be fine. To sort of piggyback off of my last tip, this tip is to make sure you buy anything that asks if you want to spend X amount of beads for an unknown item. This is usually a bench, and you'll definitely want as many of these around as possible. Not only are they checkpoints and heal stations, but these are the only places you can switch out your equipped items. Another tip is to keep Rosary beads as a string for as long as possible, until you absolutely need them. When you die with Rosary beads in string form, you can't lose them since they are considered an item and not currency. Even if you die again before you make it to your cocoon, you still keep all of your Rosary beads on a string. So try to keep them as strings as long as possible. This will save you from losing lots of Rosary beads. The next tip is boss battle related. Remember when I said you turn into a cocoon when you die, but you get all of your Silk and Rosary beads back if you reach it and break it? Well, you'll be doing this a lot in boss battles. But a common mistake is breaking this right at the start of the boss battles. Instead, start the boss battle without breaking the cocoon and wait until you're low on health or Silk, and then break the cocoon. This is sort of like a mid-battle pick-me-up. Now, the downside to this means you will have to go around and fight mobs before the boss fight in order to refill your Silk. But most of the times it's worth it in order to use the cocoon mid-boss fight, especially for those harder boss fights. Next tip is to talk to every character. The main reason for this is to get extra side quests. You'd want to do these to get some useful items or Rosary beads. There is a quest named Berry Picking early in the game that gives you a pretty awesome item. Besides talking to characters, you can also go to the bulletin board next to the shop in Bone Bottom for extra side quests. These quest payouts aren't quite as good as the other quest I mentioned, but they're still worth doing. Next tip is to get comfortable with your attacks. Finding out which attacks work best against which enemy will make things so much easier for yourself. A few examples. Flying enemies are insanely annoying in this game. They don't have much health, but a lot of times they are hard to reach as they attack you from a distance, or they'll attack you when you're on a collapsible platform, which is also annoying. The Silk Spear is the perfect attack against these enemies since it takes them out from a distance. Another example is you're able to parry projectiles shot towards you, so if you time it right, you might even knock the projectile back at the enemy. Another example is you absolutely need to use your downward strike in order to beat an early boss. These are just a few of the many examples as to why you need to get familiar with your attacks and which are best against which enemies. So be sure to experiment. The last tip is kind of a bonus tip as it branches out into multiple topics, but the tip is to explore. You do not get your upgrades and new attacks by leveling up. Nope, not here. The only way to obtain those is by exploring and finding them. Remember me mentioning the Silk Spear attack? Only way to get it is by finding it. Want to upgrade your speed by unlocking sprinting? Well, you have to find that too. Want to upgrade your health? You can buy some upgrades, but again, you have to find some of the pieces in order to upgrade your health. I think you're getting the picture. Exploring is so beneficial. And in this beautiful game, who wouldn't want to explore? All right now, let me know down in the comments if this was helpful at all and if you learned anything new. I hope you're enjoying Silksong as much as I am. Please remember to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Until next time, take care, mates.